Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in WagerBucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
All right, welcome in. Monday Fun Day here, another edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. Small card here in college hoops today, but some really great matchups. In fact, 4 of them we're going to break down for you and go over, and including the old alma mater there, Oklahoma State at Texas Tech. We're going to talk Syracuse, Duke as well. Pepperdine, St. Mary's out west, along with the Pac-12 matchup of the night, Oregon taking on USC. And, of course, we're going to do it with 3 of the very absolute best in handicapping at WagerTalk.com. That is Brian Leonard. That is Dave Koken. And my neighbor downstairs is Ralph Michaels. Take a look at these Twitter handles, guys. Make sure you check them out. Give them a follow at B. Leonard Sports, at Dave Koken, and at Cal Sports LV. So love these matchups here today on the game. We'll go ahead and we'll start with Texas Tech, Oklahoma State in a minute. But, Bri, how you been, my friend? It's $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. So what do you got set up for us tonight?
Yeah, I had a really nice weekend in college hoops, 6-1. We're looking at 2 plays today. I had posted, one of them just got canceled. Starting to turn into Dave Koken when it comes to that. I had my best player of the week in the MAC going this week and had a lot of sales, and the game is canceled because of COVID. And then today, VMI and Furman has just been canceled. So I'm down to 1 college basketball, but I do have 2 hockey up, and I am off a losing day in hockey, and hockey's been really good for me the last month. So 3 plays up, $9 each over at WagerTalk.
And Dave, speaking of hockey, my friend, I know you're ready to rock and roll here today. $9 Monday in the NHL. What's going on?
I've got a package of numerous plays in the NHL, and about an hour ago, I doing a lot of reading this morning, found something that looked strong to me in college basketball. So I did put up a best bet for college basketball tonight. I think this game's going to be a blowout, and that's available for just $9 at WagerTalk.com right now. My homepage is wt.buzz/DC.
The way to do it, guys. $9 Monday. Take advantage of it. And Ralph, what do you got locked and loaded for today on $9 Monday?
Yeah, I had a weekend I want to forget. So a couple of half-point losses made it ugly. One play, my top college basketball play, 4% best bets in college hoops, still 65%. Get my best bet in college basketball, $9. You do want to get it early. It does tip at 6 p.m. Eastern.
And those of you that are just joining us, $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com means best bets, $9. All you have to do is head over to WagerTalk.com. You can visit Dave's page, Brian Leonard's page, Ralph's page there. Best bets up $9 right now at WagerTalk.com. Just visit at their pages right under the Experts tab there at WagerTalk.com. All the information you need to make it a profitable Monday right there. Let's start off the bat. Looking forward to this game. Actually, I'm sorry. We got some of those performers from yesterday, too, as well as I'm jumping. Can you tell I'm excited to talk about Oklahoma State's game here tonight? Drake winning again there, taking down Evansville. This is going to be an interesting round 2 here today for them. But that's a pretty big number.
A possible injury in that game. Drake, obviously Hemphill's been out, but now it looks like Roman Penn, who's, you could argue he's right there with anybody. He might be the best player on the team. I mean, Hemphill's very important, but Roman Penn got dinged up yesterday, and his status is unknown as of now for tonight. That's why that number is a little bit low.
Yeah, as I'm looking there, he is on the list, too, as questionable. So, yep, we'll keep you posted, guys, if something changes on that one. Some of the covers from yesterday, 24 hours ago. Houston, looks like they had, they had a little revenge on their mind there. Houston taking on Cincinnati, 25.5 points there. And Ralph, G-Dub, how about G-Dub Rhode Island? Another interesting game there yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Rhode Island inconsistent. You know, Like I said, I banged my head at Houston. Houston looks like, they're a team that they just don't stay motivated because they're the superior team in the conference. But you get them off a straight up loss like they were last game, and boom, they start playing offense and defense and just dominate and show that they really are one of the top 15, maybe top 12 teams in the country.
Go ahead.
And that awful loss and in revenge, that's no excuse for me missing that spot yesterday. I didn't play the game. As for Rhode Island, George Washington hadn't played in 35 days, and URI still couldn't beat him. I think it was last week, Tony Mejia was on. I think Matt was on as well, Mid-Major Matt. We were talking about the fact that David Cox, we're not really high on him as a coach at Rhode Island, and I think that had a lot to do with yesterday's game. I thought he did a terrible job. I was watching the game because there was nothing on early. End of the first half. This is little stuff that you pick up on when you're assessing coaches and teams. Right at the end of the first half, like 8 seconds to go, GW Ball, Rhode Island's only got 3 team fouls. You've got to foul in that situation. You have to foul in that situation. Don't let the team get off a shot. You're not going to send them to the line anyway. Foul twice if you need to. They didn't foul at all. Guy gets wide open for a 3 and nails it. That makes a difference in a basketball game. It's 3 points that meant more than 3 points. He's not very good, guys. And that's something to factor in when we get into conference tournaments, because I think this year, as much, maybe more than most seasons, coaching is going to have a lot to do with what takes place in these conference tournaments.
Especially a team that
Hey, Dave, I just have to give a warning out to David Cox. Last time Koken said that on the show, Porter got fired that same night. So
that's right.
David Cox, be careful tonight. If you see an envelope under that door, do not open it.
It's coming. I'm telling you right now, it's on its way. All right, let's take a look at some of those over-unders as well from yesterday, some of the ones that really stuck out. Ohio State, Michigan. Some people thought defense would show up. None of that showed up. Great game, though, in that one. And the under game of the night, Xavier Butler did go under, not even close at the 132.5. So let's look at tonight.
Joe, I have to make one comment on Xavier Butler. To show you how disgusting my day was yesterday, I used Xavier Butler under in the first half, and they score a last-second basket, and the game goes over. Yet for the entire game, it goes under by 18.5. Dave, that's why you don't do college basketball totals.
I'm kicking myself also for not playing Xavier yesterday. I mean, they barely covered. Butler hung in for a while. But, I mean, that team is really shorthanded now. Nick, what's his name? Bryce Knees missed the game yesterday. Thompson's been out. Cole's been out for a while. They're really hurting for talent. And Butler looks like a team that could be mailing it in down the stretch. They got Seton Hall, Villanova, and Creighton on tap. They've lost 3 in a row. It's probably going to be 6 in a row to go into the tournament.
All right, let's dive into Big 12 here tonight, guys. What a game this is going to be. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. A win by both teams is really what they're striving for here. It opened up at 2 for Texas Tech, total hanging out right around that 138 mark, and I'm still seeing right around that number for the total. It has creeped up to 3.5 at this particular point in a lot of places. And Brian, I'm going to come to you first here. Both of these teams could use a win right about now. The 6th and 7th place team in the Big 12 Conference. We've already seen this once. Oklahoma State took care of business on the road. Can they do it again here tonight in Stillwater?
Yeah, Oklahoma State wins that game in overtime, 82-77. I was a big fan of Texas Tech coming into the season. They've let me down a little bit. They're really not playing good ball. Probably got to go back to January 9th when they blew out Iowa State 91-64. That was the last time I thought they played really well. I mean, they beat Oklahoma, kind of struggled with Kansas State, lost the last 2 games to West Virginia and Kansas. In fact, this revenge game for Texas Tech, they're 0-2 so far this season in revenge games. Lost to Kansas and West Virginia, and then ended up losing to them both again. This is a team right now I'm struggling to look to back. I know the line has moved a little bit. Oklahoma State, one of their key players, is a game-time decision. I'll let Rolf pronounce his name. But it's a situation for Oklahoma State where I think this is a team that's got some value. I hear he's going to play. I think it's going to be a game time decision. We'll have to see how many minutes he plays. But I prefer Oklahoma State here. This is a team. I have these teams rated pretty equal right now, and to catch them at home, catching points, which is a little inflated based on we don't know if he's not going to play. We don't know if he's going to play. If he plays, we're getting an extra point and a half of value here.
Isaac Likely, I believe, is the kid you are referring to in this one. And Dave, tough weekend for Texas Tech there going into that Kansas game. Was they kind of outshot them. They just didn't make as many shots or take as many shots as Kansas. But here they are finding themselves coming into this game in need of a win. Do you think they have enough momentum to be able to get the job done right now?
Well, look, it wasn't a good weekend for Texas Tech. And the first inclination in this game was, well, it's a revenge from a home loss in overtime where they blew a late lead in regulation, and they blew a late lead in the overtime as well. And you got to think, Beard's going to have him motivated here. Oklahoma State could be down a guy, which would put a whole lot of pressure on Cunningham to be the show out there tonight. And Tech is very good defensively. But, I started looking at something. And first of all, they have lost 2 in a row. Now, maybe you can argue, well, that, they're not going to lose 3 in a row. But actually, going back to last year, I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen, but, Texas Tech ended the regular season and therefore ended the season because they never had a Big 12 tournament with 4 straight losses. They played their worst ball at the very end of the regular season and went from 18-9 and 9-5 in the conference to 18-13 and 9-9 in the conference. Well, maybe the same thing's happening here. Oklahoma State is a tough opponent. Then they've got Texas to close out the regular season. I don't think I want Texas Tech in this form. I don't want Oklahoma State because of Likely's status. But this was a game I backed out of pretty quickly.
It's a tough spot here, Ralph, especially with not knowing what Likely's status is going to be. But there's no doubt, prior to the game on Saturday, Texas Tech hadn't played since February 9th. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks for them.
Well, Likely's playing. As far as the Oklahoma paper said, he practiced Friday and Saturday. So he's in, he's practiced, he's ready to go. And I agree, that gives him some advantage. So, when I was reading the Lubbock paper today, and, we're more than a basketball show. So, I've always gone to the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, and I've never looked up why the hell is it called the Avalanche Journal in Lubbock, Texas. Well, the owner thought he would surprise people in Texas by calling his newspaper the Avalanche. So that's the reason. Absolutely no reason. But they talked about Shannon. And, Shannon's most important person, or maybe McClung's the most important, second most important. And he talked how he's regularly struggling on an ankle injury. He's not listed in the injury reports, but you look at Shannon the last 3 games, 11 minutes, 2 points, 23 minutes, 13 points, 15 minutes, 5 points. He's obviously hobbled. He's not better. He's still struggling. You've lost 2 straight against straight up. You've lost 4 straight against the spread. And Oklahoma State now has a new life. They were going to be ineligible for the tournament for postseason play. They did appeal that. They're not going to get a decision this year. So now all of a sudden you went from a team with Cade Cunningham. You're winning. You're playing great defense. You're going to be in the Big 10, Big 12 tournament. You're likely to be in the March Madness for the first time in, 4 or 5 years, Joe? So you have this new enthusiasm with your healthy team against a banged-up player. I like Oklahoma State side.
OSU here tonight. It's going to be a hell of a game, guys, as is this next matchup here between Syracuse and Duke. ACC battle going on. Both teams riding. Duke doing just an amazing job here over the last couple of games. And Syracuse with a monster second half comeback against Notre Dame over the weekend. Opens up at 5.5. I see a 6 or 2 out in the marketplace as well. Total right around that, coming down a little bit, 148, 148.5. And Dave, both of these teams riding high right now over the last couple of weeks. Who do you trust more in this spot, Duke or Syracuse?
Duke's really interesting because, Jalen Johnson says that's it, done, and the reaction is, well, boy, it's been a tough year for Duke anyway, and now they lose. the lottery pick. And what happens? They go out and they kill Wake Forest and win against a good Virginia team. It was only a 1-point win, but it's still a nice win. They've got a little momentum going at this point. So who knows? I mean, clearly not having Johnson makes them less of a powerhouse in terms of their talent. But maybe there was something behind the scenes we didn't know about in terms of fractured locker room or whatever. I'm not suggesting that there was, but they've played better since he left the team. Syracuse, they beat me on Saturday, and boy, that one really pissed me off. I've had some difficult losses lately, and that one was, Notre Dame's up 20 in the game. They're up 58-41. Get absolutely crushed down the stretch, 34-9 over the last, 8 minutes or so in that game, and I ended up losing. Boy, there've been some of the losses I've had have been just hard to swallow. But the fact is, Syracuse wasn't playing well in that game. They just got really hot, and I don't know if that's going to carry over or not. Prior to that, they beat Boston College, which was no big deal. BC fired their coach over the last couple of days. NC State's a shorthanded team. I don't know. I'm just not really impressed with Syracuse. But that said, the spot itself does favor the Orange because you've got Duke coming off 2 real big rivalry games, actually 3 that they won. NC State, it's a rivalry. Wake Forest, it's a rivalry. And Virginia is definitely a rivalry. I don't think it's a great spot for Duke. So I would lean to Syracuse, but it's not going to make my card.
Ralph, you trust Syracuse on the road in this spot here? Maybe, or is you just, at this point, Duke is riding high, just keep riding with them?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of either. I lost on Duke against Virginia, on Saturday as well, one of my games. I had the same thought as Dave. Jalen Johnson only played 8 minutes in that NC State game. So there was something wrong. Something was happening. Then after that game, he left. And then I said, oh, well, you beat Wake Forest. No big deal. Now you're playing a real Virginia team, and Virginia was coming off that loss against Florida State. So that was a hell of a win because, Virginia was certainly motivated after they got run out of Tallahassee. But I look at what Syracuse does on the road, and they're just a different team, and they have not played well. They only have the win against NC State. They don't have a quad 1 win this year. So, I'm in that zone where I'm going to give you an opinion on the over. You look at Duke now, and, I'm going to pretend like Vino's on the show. Well, Coach K's talked about how their defense is really better than their offense. Well, their offense the last 5 games, 54%, 52%, 51, 54, and 51. Syracuse not playing that same type of slowdown zone. In fact, if you look at Syracuse's numbers, it is almost shocking. They are number 32 in offensive tempo. So only 31 teams in college, out of the 347 college basketball teams, get the ball and shoot quicker than Syracuse does. Duke's offense, the way Syracuse is pushing the pace, I'm going to give an opinion on the over.
How about you, Brian? Which way are you going to approach this one, from the side or from the total?
Yeah, you touched on how Syracuse has struggled on the road. 2 road wins this season against Boston College and NC State. Anytime they've stepped up, they have struggled against the better teams in this league. Syracuse, Dave talked about that they're playing pretty well, but if you take a look at the advanced numbers, out of the last 6 games, they've only had 2 losses, but they've been very lucky. And the reason I say that is the last 3 games shooting from 3, 9 of 19, 5 of 11, 10 of 22. They've been very hot from 3 the last 3 games. Well, this is a team who hasn't really shot well from 3 all season long. They've struggled in that regard. So they've been very lucky coming out of the last 3 games. Now they're going on the road where they've struggled. Coach K did say they're light and day compared to the way this team played 2 weeks ago. So they're playing much better. A lot of confidence here. Line's going up a half. It's at 5.5 up to 6 now. Lean Duke. If I probably would have had a 5, I might have made that a play. But at 6, it's a lean for me. But I want no part of the Syracuse here.
No part of Syracuse in that one. All right, guys, we're going to talk Oregon USC in just a sec, but I do want to remind you that it is $9 Monday. That's right, $9 Monday. Best bets available right now at Brian Leonard's page, at Dave Koken's page, and at Ralph Michaels' page. All you have to do, visit them now at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com. Great stuff there. All right, Ralph, coming to you. We've got Oregon versus USC. Pac-12 battle here tonight. Oregon riding high, really starting to put it together as they usually do this time of year. USC played Arizona over the weekend. Arizona, that was their national championship. They took down USC, who had been rolling prior to that. Opens up at 4, total 137.5. Does USC get back on track here tonight?
Well, you look at the standings. USC now 12-3 in conference play. Oregon a few less games at 9-3. But I am on the Ducks. We talked about this team. Dave mentioned last time how, this is a coach that absolutely knows how to prepare his team to the end of the season. But to me, there is so much value on Oregon, and simply, he has not had his starting 5, his top 5 scorers, play all but 2 games together. They played February 11th, Arizona State. They won 75-64. The game against Utah was the only other game where they had all 5 back. All 5 are now healthy. All 5 are going to play together. I just played Oregon. I just bet Oregon at 65-1 to win the tournament. I think they're an absolute play-on team the rest of this season, including tonight. And this is my best bet at the end of the show on the Oregon Ducks.
All right. Well, Brian, prior to that loss to Arizona, they had been really, really good, riding a great winning streak there, USC. How do you see this going down tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with Rolf here. I like Oregon. I think it's a must-win game. You mentioned the records in conference. Keep in mind, Oregon is on the road for the rest of the year. They got USC, Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and we'll see how this works out. But this is a team right now that's going on the road, and they need to win this game. This is the important game, and when you play on the road, you can't expect to win every game. So they've got to win this one to have any chance at all. But Oregon's playing really good ball right now. I'm really surprised. This line opened 4. It stayed 4 all day. I thought there was going to be some Oregon money. I think Oregon's the best team in this conference, although the conference isn't one of the strongest ones in college basketball this year. But Oregon's the team. I think if there's anybody I look to trust in a game that they need to win, it would be Oregon. USC's had a really fine season, but catching 4 points with the Ducks right now is the way I'm looking.
Yeah, we talked about Oregon last week. In fact, is this a team that you want to get in front of right now? You want to lay points against them?
No, I don't. I'll mildly disagree on one point that Brian made. I don't think they're the most, well, I agree and disagree. I don't think Oregon's the most talented team in the conference. I think that is USC. With the Mobleys, especially Evan, who's a great player. They've got so much size inside. I think they're the most talented team in the conference. But the best actual team in the conference, it's Oregon. And that's because of Dana Altman. He is a superstar. He's an elite college basketball coach. Gets his teams to play their best ball at the end of the season. We've been saying this since we started doing this show back in late November, which is don't put too much stock into Oregon early in the season because he's a coach who plays to get his team ready for March. And they look like they're ready right now. Not a team I'm going to go against. The other guys have pretty much covered the analysis. I'll just agree with Oregon plus the available points. Should be a good game.
Yep, it's definitely going to be a good game. Looking forward to that one for sure tonight, guys. We got one more game before we get to our best bets and take a look at our friends from the Gold Sheet on which way they are looking. And that's going to be Pepperdine taking on St. Mary's. And, Bri, I'm going to come to you here. Interesting. I don't know what it is, Ralph. Teams that get waxed by Gonzaga. I wonder what the numbers are, what they do the next game here, because that was a beat down there. St. Mary's 87-65. It's not like they're Pepperdine also coming off a loss here. It's not like either of these teams are coming in like we just had riding sky high, Bryce. So how do you approach this matchup here? St. Mary's opens up as a 5.5-point favorite.
I'm taking a different look on this game, and I'm going to look at the total. These two teams just played 9 days ago. Pepperdine wins 60-58. But you take a look at some of these offensive and defensive numbers, especially for St. Mary's, 83.8 points per possession, basically 0.838 points per possession. That's their third worst on the season. They were only 4 of 24 shooting from three. I know Pepperdine's very good defending the three, but I think this game, after such a slugfest in the last time they play, I think they're going to go out and play more up-tempo, especially after you play a Gonzaga team that rolls you. You want to get out there and put that offense out there and show that you can score on somebody. I think the line's about right, but I think the total, after coming off of 118 in the last time they played, I know it's been bet up a couple points. I think it's up to like 136.5 now. But that's the way that I would lean in this contest.
How about it, Dave? Do you trust St. Mary's to get enough offensively to cover a spread like this?
I don't trust St. Mary's to do anything right now. I think the Gonzaga game was a train wreck. They lost by 22, but it was worse than that. If Gonzaga had wanted to, they could have won by 50. They absolutely killed them in the first half. And what do they got left? You know, this game, Pacific and BYU, they're not going anywhere. I mean, the team's 11-7. They're 2-5 in the conference. It's a down year for the Gales, which is not surprising, but maybe surprising in how down they are. I mean, they still figured to be, the third best team in the conference? I think you can make an argument that, I guess they're the third best team in terms of the power rating, but there's only 2 teams behind them in the standings. Actually, they're tied with San Diego and only hapless Portland behind them. It's been a bad season. I don't know that, for a team that's used to having something to play for at this time of year, they don't here. And I'm not sure I want to back a team like that. Pepperdine handled them the first time. It was a 2-point game, which Pepperdine won. I think it'll be close again, closer than the line. I would look at the waves plus the points in this game.
Ralph, it's tough to lay, 5.5, 6 points with a team that you can't trust offensively. You haven't been able to trust them all year. How do you see this going down tonight?
I agree with Dave. I think I have the game power rated pick. I mean, I like Pepperdine. They're off the loss at Santa Clara, but it's a game where they did play well. They just ball over quite a bit, and the other team shot well from the three. St. Mary's offense, they put up 52% in against San Francisco, but they're still shooting 42% their last 5 games, and the defense isn't what it's been in the past. Pepperdine outright, sprinkle some on the money line. And to answer your question, guys, this is actually going against what I like with Pepperdine. Now, the database for college basketball did not get updated this year. So I do not have the numbers this season, but from the previous 5 years, teams that went to Gonzaga and lost at Gonzaga are 20, 11, and 1, 64.5% the next game.
Interesting. All right. Good stuff there, guys. We got some best bets coming up here in just a second from the gentleman. But a quick reminder, it is $9 Monday. Make sure you head over to WagerTalk.com. Grab their best bets tonight. Locked and loaded in the NHL is Dave, as is Brian Leonard. Basketball games are up and ready to go with Ralph. $9 at WagerTalk.com. Head over there. Take advantage of it now. And let's take a look at our friends from the Gold Sheet and see what game they've got going on here tonight. Citadel taking on Mercer in this one, and they like the under here, Ralph, in this matchup. Citadel coming off I believe, an under over the weekend, too, as well. So we can get this at thegoldsheet.com.
Yeah, and in a quick second, their recap basically says, we're all used to Citadel's tempo. They're number 5 as far as KenPom goes, but it's also talked about how in their last 5 or 6 games, the Citadel is actually 12-9. So they used to run pace and not worry about it, just be the fastest team. Now they're actually winning some games. They're slowing it down. They're starting to play a little bit defense. And the difference in their last 5 games, tempo-wise, is huge from where it was at the beginning of the season. So the Gold Sheet play of the day on the under.
Explains that under with VMI over the weekend after they scored 200 points the first go-around. All right, Brian, we're going to start with you, my friend. Let's see what game that you circled here on the card first.
Since we don't have a shot clock on this show, I could touch a little bit on what Rolf had said. Made the comment about teams after playing Gonzaga. Keep that in mind when you're handicapping these games. If a team has played an elite team or a terrible team, you're going to have a little bit of an adjustment the next game. People are going to say, oh, they just got crushed. They're terrible. No, these teams are really good, or these teams are really bad. So keep that in mind. I've had a lot of success this year going on or against Valparaiso. They play Southern Illinois tonight. Rematch of last night's game. They beat Southern Illinois on the road 66-65. It was a game that, excuse me, that was played very equal. I have these teams rated very close to each other. I think Southern Illinois gets it today. When two teams that are that closely ranked, one of them wins, the other one tends to bounce back the next game. It's not one of my stronger plays as this entire card. I really only have one game I like. But out of the games that we haven't discussed, that's the best one I like tonight. I think Southern Illinois evens it up with Valparaiso.
All right, good stuff there. And Dave, which way you going here tonight?
Second of back-to-backs between Eastern Kentucky and SEMO.
Ooh.
The Red Hawks are off 2, amazing wins. They rebounded from a blowout loss to Austin Peay to upset the Governors in overtime. And then on Saturday, SEMO absolutely crushed Eastern Kentucky thanks to a spectacular shooting performance. Red Hawks 35 for 60 from the field, including 14 for 25 on 3 balls. They also dominated the glass, winning that stat by 19, and they had a remarkable 26 assists on their 35 made baskets. It was almost a perfect performance, although one big negative, SEMO tendencies still showed up. They committed 23 turnovers. That's 65 in the last 3 games. SEMO remains the worst turnover team in the Ohio Valley. I have to think the Colonels are a little embarrassed off that Saturday disaster. Also, SEMO has not won 3 in a row since November of 2018. Expect the better team to make amends today. Eastern Kentucky minus the points.
All right, good stuff. By the way, 3 p.m. Eastern time on that game, guys. If you're catching that beforehand, that's what time the tip-off is. And Ralph, you mentioned USC Oregon is your best bet. Lay it out for us.
Well, as we talked about, you're starting 5. This is only the 3rd game they're playing. It's the first time the starting 5 are playing back-to-back games. And I'm just going to mention it again. If Oregon beats USC tonight and they're in charge of the Pac-12, you're going to see those 60-1 odds on Oregon turn into 20-1 in a couple days. So if you have any inkling of playing Oregon, play it before the USC game today, because your value will be gone as far as having a future.
Okay, there you go, guys. And sometimes if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's just a duck, which is why I'm going under in the Air Force New Mexico State game, because 2 of the worst. If you like watching paint dry, you're going to love this game. I think the total was 126, 125.5. I'm going to go under in that one. Let's take a look at the recap here for those of you just joining us. You just heard Ralph go, give me the points with Oregon. Dave likes Eastern Kentucky laying the 4.5. That's coming up 3 p.m. Eastern time. Brian Leonard taking Southern Illinois, lay the short number of 1.5. I'm going to go under in this New Mexico Air Force game. And the Gold Sheet likes the Citadel Mercer under as well at 158.5. You guys are going to love $9 Monday right now. You can head over there and get all of their best bets for $9 right now, guys. That's what the opportunity you have. Visit Dave Koken's page, Brian Leonard's page, Ralph Michaels' page. Go take advantage of $9 Monday now at WagerTalk.com, and let's make it a profitable start to the week. Don't forget, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll break it all down once again for you. So on behalf of Brian Leonard, Dave Koken, Ralph Michaels, guys, I'm Joe Raineri. Best of luck with your plays. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.